So originally with this house, this is the kitchen, that's the dining area, and it was all open. There were none of these walls. It was just like one space, which you definitely do not want. In Chinese Feng Shui, you always want to have a clear delineation of space, and especially with the kitchen, because it's important for the kitchen to have a lot of qi, to have your qi that contained. You don't want it to dissipate. And I know, for example, when I was living in New York after college, after I graduated from Georgetown, the thing to have in New York was like a Tribeca loft, right? Like one big, huge space, and it was like so cool. And back then, I mean, I wasn't observing Feng Shui as much, and I thought it was really cool too. But actually, the worst thing you can have for your qi is one big loft space, but there are no cozy nooks or no ways to contain your energy. And so the kitchen's very important. Oh, and in fact, recently, a few years ago, I visited a really good girlfriend of mine in New York. She had just moved to a like a $5 million US huge loft in Tribeca. But as soon as she moved in there, a bunch of things happened. Her relationship didn't go very well. She ended up getting divorced. Her health wasn't very good. When I walked into her place, I mean, it was a huge place and she didn't have very much furniture at all. I was like, you need to fill this place up because your chi's dissipating. So, kitchen's very important to have a closed kitchen from an energy and chi perspective. So that's why I immediately filled up with this wall to close up my kitchen. And at the same time, it's become storage. So at the same time, you can see, right, I have some wine glasses, you can hang stuff, slippers, Chinese boys like slippers, and then shoes can go here. So there are actually two places where you can keep your shoes. And again, this is because the last thing you want is a lot of shoes around the entryway, which 招小人 attracts little people, which is bad energy for you. And so that way it stays nice and tidy. Now let's check out the kitchen. First of all, over here we have a pocket door to save space because space here is pretty tight, and it's glass because there's no natural sunlight in the kitchen, unfortunately. And then come on in, and this feels pretty good. So the things you should look out for is that you don't want any water-based things to be facing any fire-based things. So a fire-based thing would be the stove, right? Here's a stove. And you can see over here the fire-based thing is actually facing another fire-based thing, which is the oven and the microwave. So those two are aligned, which is good. Because what you don't want is for the sink to be facing the stove. That would not be so good. Oh, this is kind of fun. So this is by a Chinese artist called Guo Hongwei. This is an ancient character for the word family. Yeah. So, he gifted this to me on my birthday a few years ago, and I decided to hang it up in the kitchen. Just really good. So then I put in this wall in addition to that wall so that the dining space, feels more like its own private space. I also don't like it when guests can see the kitchen from the dining area because the kitchen's always really messy. My housekeeper's, running around in it. So that's why this blocks their view. And so over here, solid, good quality wood, round or rectangular. Yes, I know I have some corners on my dining table. You want to have an even number of seats. So you can see, right now I have 4 chairs, but actually in total I have 6. These are Portrait of Frau. These really kind of brighten up my day. The dining room should have a lot of natural sunlight, which mine does. You don't want it to be, too dark. You don't want it to be too bright. So I just like this little small pop of color. Everything else is pretty muted. And you want to have a mirror reflecting against the dining table because this brings even more prosperity into your life. This, a lot of people come into my house, they sit here, they ignore it, they're like, oh, it just must be a photo of Sarah's lips. But I'm not that vain. This is actually an all pencil drawing by Zhang Shujian, a very young male Chinese artist, and he drew his lover's lips. So it's really amazing when you see, there's a little bit of reflection on it now, but you should be able to see the gloss effect of his lover's lips. And this is a 1.5 meter by 1 meter drawing, and I collected it in 2012 when I graduated from Harvard Business School and moved to Beijing. It was my very first purchase of a Chinese contemporary artist. And just a little side note, this is actually the difference between Chinese artists and Western artists. Chinese artists in school, they have to replicate all the masters, right? So technically, from technique perspective, they're very, very well trained. And so this is the kind of stuff they're able to do before they then go into, abstract or, doing weird squares and shapes and stuff like that. So, Chinese artists go through a lot of training. This wallpaper of mine is Coal and Sun. Again, it's got a little bit of gold, which matches my yellow. And then over here, you'll see that, I have some spirits and Maltai. This is the most prized liquor in China right now. This little bottle has gone up like 50% at least in price over the last 2-3 years. This is like 3,000 something kwai now, which is $400-500 US. And so you do want to display wines because wines are fire. Wines are expensive, high end. end, and so they also bring good high-end energy into your home.
3 tips for the dining room. Number 1, you want to have an even number of chairs. Remember, all about symmetry and evenness and balance in Feng Shui. Number 2, with your dining table, float it in the middle of the room. So you don't want to have your dining table pressed up against a wall because that shows that there's no space for additional guests to come. And tip 3 is that if you live in this open area living plan, like a loft or an apartment where living room and dining room are one space, divide it, okay? You want to have this demarcation of areas. All right, guys, so that is my Feng Shui lesson for your home now. Hope you guys found it handy, took good notes, and will immediately start implementing positive changes to your home for better qi and better reinvigoration and relaxation. Let me know in the comments below what tip you are gonna go do immediately, straight away, or what thing you've been doing wrong for the past number of years. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be posting a new video each week who have tips and tricks that I think will help all of us lead a better life.